Move on to give you the latest on Ebola, where anxiety, and there's a lot of it, means added cost. And my opinion is that added cost may well force a travel ban. We'll see about that. Here's the news of the day. Scares on board two separate flights. First, a passenger on board a United plane that landed in Birmingham, Alabama. He threw up, alerting authorities in full hazmat gear. They went right in the plane, full hazmat. Precautions taken, but no Ebola. A lot of time and money spent. Then there's the case of the passenger on a flight to the Dominican Republic who made a joke. He sneezed, he made a joke, he said he's been to Africa, caused a panic. Hazmat crews came on board, there you can see them. The plane sat on the tarmac for an hour, and again there was no Ebola. Starting tomorrow, passengers from West Africa will be screened for fevers at 5 major airports. Important to note, these procedures would not have flagged Thomas Duncan, the Dallas Ebola patient who died. Mary Kissel is with me. My position is, I'm going to repeat, this is an opinion, it's not a position, this is an opinion. The added cost of Ebola, even the suspected cases of Ebola, massively increase the cost. We can't afford that. I think that rapid increase in cost will force a change in policy, meaning a travel ban. And you're about to take me on, aren't you?
I'm sorry. The cost that we should fear is of this virus spreading throughout the world. That's the cost that we should fear. Look, the CDC has had an awful lot of money thrown at it over the last 10 years. This is the essential function of that government agency, Stuart. And I'm not saying don't give them the resources now that they need, but I think we need to question these perpetual government breakdowns, whether it's the CDC that was late to Ebola, whether it was the Secret Service, right, whose core function is to protect the president. They can't even stop a guy from jumping over the fence. There is something happening here in our bureaucracies, and you know these are bureaucracies that if they don't, do their function, they can kill you.
But what about the premise of mine that every time somebody sneezes on board a plane, they bring in the hazmat suits, they isolate the plane, the passengers are delayed. If they go to the hospital, there's always quarantine.
I want them to do that.
But yes, so do I. But it raises the cost to the point where you can't afford it.
I think that's absurd. I think that's absurd. I think
you don't think we have to have a travel ban to stop this cost escalating?
Look, the CDC has also come out and said that a travel ban is not going to contain the problem because.
Oh, so you believe them in that sense, but not when it comes to containing it here.
I'm not saying that the CDC aren't full of professionals who know what they're doing. What I'm saying is they've gotten a lot of cost increases over the years. We just did an editorial on this, and they haven't spent the money very wisely.
Well,
they were behind the curve on it.
No travel ban? You don't want a travel ban?
Won't work.
You don't want a travel ban?
Listen to Tom Frieden at the CDC.
You don't want to stop people coming here who've been in West Africa in the previous 2 weeks and might be carrying Ebola.
Look,
you don't want to stop them coming.
What they're telling us is they're screening them at the airports. That's the step that they think is appropriate right now. Banning everyone traveling out of West Africa would create panic. It wouldn't stop the disease. And ultimately, Stuart, we have to get ahead of these things. This is for the CDC.
Yeah, but we're not getting ahead of it. We're not. I mean, the Department of Health and Human Services says the precautions at Newark Airport, they're not ready to take these precautions. They're not.
But you got to ask why. Given the hundreds of millions of dollars,
you've got to respond to it.
Given the hundreds of millions of dollars that we've sent the CDC's way, and what are they spending money on? Soda bans, e-cigarettes, wellness programs.
I'm interested in stopping the disease coming to America.
Look,
and the way you do that is with a travel ban.
It's a threat to the security of Americans. I don't care how much it costs right now. Since they let it get out of control, you got to contain it. But the travel ban won't contain it.
You contain the cost by stopping the cases getting here.
The travel ban will not contain it because people from Europe will come in. People from Europe who are affected come in. Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can. If you had a travel ban, if you've been in West Africa, in these 3 countries, in the last 2 weeks, you don't come to America.
It's not just.
You stop cases coming here.
And what happens if these people go through Europe, or if there's someone else, if there's another way to get in, Stuart? Travel bans don't work. It's like saying you're going to close the border of America. People want to get in.
Wait a minute. Mr. Duncan flew from West Africa to Brussels, got on a plane, and then flew to the United States.
And he lied on his.
We should have known if we knew that he was coming from West Africa. If we'd not let him get on the plane.
How do you know if he's not presenting symptoms?
You can keep the
cases. Do you have a magic wand?
Wait. You don't want to keep cases out?
I'm not saying that. You're putting
I don't want
words
to
in my
pay
mouth.
all this money.
I'm sorry. My problem with the money that's spent is how CDC has spent it in the past. Now that we have a big problem, and it's a threat to the national security of the United States, if that's what it is, maybe it's not there yet, then you got to contain the problem.
Separate problem, Mary. Separate problem.
Okay.
Let me see now. The Dow is up 7. But I just
Have
lost.
I thrown you off?
Yeah, you threw me right
I totally
off.
threw you off.
It doesn't take much. You're good at it. All right. After the